Hi, I'm Malin, your mystical science nerd. I'm exploring life freely and figuring it out as I go.
Hi, I'm Jordan, your storyteller trying to make a difference, find myself in motherhood, and raise two fiery daughters all at the same time.
Together, we are two Leo moons, proof that there is no one way to be a powerful woman.
Because women contain multitudes, and we're here for all of it.
So I'm very excited that we both wore rainbows today.
I know, look at us. I personally feel like I needed it. It's a little dreary outside, and I was like, I'm just gonna bring some color.
We're really excited about this episode. We are, of course, gonna check in with our vibe check. We're going to talk about daily dose of healthy masculinity. And then we are going to talk about, finally, my favorite topic, female friendship, the foundation of pretty much everything great that's ever happened in my life.
Yeah.
But let's dive right into our vibe checks.
Yeah, perfect.
So let's see, this is going to be released around the 22nd of January. So we're getting into Aquarius season. I love Aquarius energy. I love so many energies that I don't have much of in my chart, but I guess I do have this in Mercury. But Aquarius is kind of known as like the rebel. And so like in this season, we should be kind of like thinking about, really they have a perspective on community. So that's kind of cool. But what's happening during this time is there's going to be a Mercury cazimi in Aquarius. So those energies are going to be amplified. The sun and Mercury will be hanging out together, super, super high energy. That's going to bring like clarity, insight, truth telling. And then Pluto, which is like the planet of transformation, will also be cazimi 2 days later. So that's going to bring big shifts, big changes. And then let's see, something I'm really looking forward to as a Pisces, oh my God, is that Neptune, the planet of like dreams and illusions and intuition, is going to be moving into Aries. Now, Neptune is in a transit for like 14 years. So for the last 14 years, we've been in Pisces, which Neptune and Pisces is like ruled by each other.
Right.
So like Neptune is dreamy, Pisces is dreamy, and you'd think that'd be really great, except that we've had 14 years of like delusion.
Oh my gosh.
So moving into Aries, this is a generational planet. So we're moving into a long-term change and shift of energy when it comes to our dreams and illusions. And it's moving into Aries, which is like action, bold, like movement forward. So I am really excited to see how that shifts and how that feels differently. If any of this kind of resonates with you, or if you're really into journaling, something I'm probably going to do is I want to think about like what truth is showing up that you can no longer ignore, and what actions is it asking you to take in your life.
Thank you for that vibe check. It's going to be an exciting start to the year.
Yeah. Oh boy. Here we go, January.
Right. My second born is an Aquarius.
I love it.
And I feel like she just embodies everything that is an Aquarius and a second born rebel.
Yes.
At two. So at the same time that all of this is happening in the stars and in the universe, we've got some pretty big things happening politically here in the United States. Wherever you are based, there are probably primary elections happening right now. A primary is when you decide who is going to run on behalf of your party in a general election, which is happening in November of 2026. I personally am a Democrat, for better or worse, and I'm going to be voting in the Texas primary. And what's most important for me to know is when I need to make sure that I am registered to vote. And so my encouragement to everybody this week, this month, is to make sure that you verify your voter registration, make sure that you have valid forms of ID, make sure that your address is up to date. And one of the best ways that you can do that is by using online tools like going to votesaveamerica.com. Now, I love this website because it also tells you what elections are coming up, whether they be primaries, general elections, runoff elections like we have here in Texas. There's a big one for the Texas House happening on January 31st if you live in Fort Worth. And so again, just in preparation for participating in our democracy, making sure that you have everything that you need in order to make your voice heard. Voting is the best thing that you can do. And I know that it feels really hard to believe in the system right now, but the only way that we can make it work for us is to take it back, and elections is how we do that. So make sure you're registered to vote. If you're not, register to vote and participate in a primary. That's when we get to decide who represents our party.
Yeah.
And a strong primary always leads to a strong election. VoteSaveAmerica.com.
I love that. That's going to be, that's helpful for me. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Cool. Happy to help. Okay, so now that we know what's going on cosmically and politically, we're going to do our scoops. Malin's going to deliver a delicious single scoop, and I've decided to call mine a pint. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So this one is so simple, but it is one of the things that I keep coming back to when I'm trying to remind myself, what is one of the really indulgent parts of being single. I love my queen bed all to myself.
Oh my God.
I sleep directly in the middle. I starfish. I stay in there as long as I want. All the pillows are mine. I am a pillow whore. I need 4 minimum. It's so great. And so I have just been, it was a very hard thing for me to learn at first because most of my life have slept next to someone, and it's very uncomfortable if you're in that position where you're sleeping alone after you haven't for a while. It's hard to sleep. It feels unsettling. But man, once you lean in, I don't know how I'm going to go back.
Fair.
I am it's so good. It's so good. So I have really been enjoying that. And, I withhold from myself because of money or finances, but I have been trying to lean into affordable things, small changes I can make to really just dive into that yumminess.
Yeah.
And I have an affordable new comforter that's and I didn't have to ask anyone else if they liked it.
That's amazing.
So that's my oh God, it's so good to be single. I get my bed to myself. It looks and feels the way I want it to look and feel. So nice, short, simple,
delicious.
It's so good.
That's a very, very yummy scoop. I know last week we talked a little bit about this section not being led by jealousy, but more the desire to experience through one another the different ways that a woman can exist.
Yeah.
I am jealous right now. I'm jealous. My scoop, my pint this week is very much on the I gotta talk about the big feelings.
Okay.
My kids are kindergarten and 2.
Yeah.
And I don't really like the phrase terrible twos because I think we don't give 2-year-olds enough credit. They're going through a lot. They're cutting teeth. Their brain is exploding in synapses literally every millisecond. Yeah. And I forgot how big the feelings get when they are met with resistance or the word no, and how they just learn to throw it right back at you and run off naked into the sunset. And so the last couple weeks in our house has been a lot of navigating the big explosive feelings of a toddler with the complex experiences of a person that's becoming a kid. My kindergartner, her life is complex. She's experiencing getting glasses and wearing glasses to school and what that means for her socially. She's very aware of how people perceive her and how they see her. And so getting to watch her navigate that is really stressful, honestly. Just making, I want her to be safe. And I know my job isn't to protect her from every single thing that could possibly happen to her in life. But the idea of creating a safe place for her to express those feelings, to navigate those difficult aspects of life, it's a lot of pressure. So I've had big feelings. My toddler's had big feelings. The kindergartner's got big feelings. And I just want to name for anybody who might be experiencing something like that, it's hard. And it's okay that it's hard. And it's okay that it's heavy for us as parents. And I think reminding ourselves that the heaviness means that we care. And the fact that we're trying, the fact that I'm trying my best to create a safe place for them to land is really special and really important. So I'm proud of myself for that. And if you wanted to send me a bottle of wine, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
That's my pint this week. It's a little messy. It's a little melted, but it's yummy.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, at the end of the day, what you're doing is difficult, but it is through the difficult things that you're actually creating something really beautiful. Like, it's not, you know, again, from the outside perspective, from someone who's not emotionally going through all of that, I just admire your ability to show up for your children in that way with that depth and understanding, and that will be carried with them for their life. You can't protect them from every hard feeling, but you can give them a soft place to land, and you do that so intentionally.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And I'm really happy that you have a comfy bed and a new comforter and your pillows. And no, I mean, like, how beautiful that you've created your own place to land, you know? Like, that is spectacular in and of itself, too. I think I'm better at taking care of my kids than I am of taking care of myself. So
Yes.
I greatly admire the way that you're learning to show up for yourself and care for yourself in those small but meaningful ways.
Thank you. I would say that that's been the journey. It's like, I have no one else to put my care into. And it's not comfortable. It's hard, and we're taught not to do it. And then it's a vulnerable place, and I'm learning how to lean in.
Would you like to introduce our man?
Oh my gosh.
This week?
I mean, we're really excited. We've been, when were we going to talk about him? When are we going to bring him in? Our dose of healthy masculinity is Mr. Mamdani. I love the energy that's behind it right now. I love what I'm seeing. I can't wait to hear your perspective on the deeper, you know, reasons why this is healthy masculinity. But like, I just want to say, he's not my mayor. And the thing that I'm so excited about with Mamdani is what it means the people voted for. So it means that people are willing to put aside, we grew up with the very certain prejudices and experiences in our life where this didn't seem like something that was going to happen in the future. And during a time that feels like, oh, we're back in time, we're regressing as a country, we're getting these small reminders that as a people, we still want to move forward. So that's how I'm feeling about it. But please tell me more about, because I've heard bits and pieces about what makes him kind of have elements of healthy masculinity. So
the biggest thing for me is just the very stark juxtaposition in how he shows up and takes up space and shares space in comparison to how people like Trump show up. Men like Trump show up, and they think they are gods. And the position of a public servant to them is the podium, is the pedestal that they want to step on every single person along the way to climb up and stand on. And they think that everybody, you know, they're deserving of everybody's ears and everybody's time and everybody's money. But then you get somebody like Mamdani, who shows up and says, no, I work for you. And my leadership and my position is to serve the best interests of the people that I represent. And he carried not just that messaging, but he carried those values through the whole campaign. And I swear, for the first time in a long time, I trust that he's actually going to do it. And I think that rebuilding trust in our elected officials, rebuilding trust in the people that we vote into office to represent us is the most important thing that anyone in office can do over the next, long time, but especially the next year.
Yeah, because how many people don't vote at all because we have lost so much trust in anyone who's seeking these positions of power. When you start questioning, who's the less of two evils, that is not a hopeful place to be as a person who's trying to put people into positions to help everybody. And so I hope that that's where we're headed. I hope that that's what he kind of symbolizes for everywhere. Again, he is just a mayor of New York, but I think he symbolizes a lot more than that. But yes, I guess the healthy masculinity part definitely seems to be this, like, I'm a servant. I am not like alpha.
It's not about him.
Yeah.
It's about the people.
Yes.
And I think toxic masculinity is the egocentric, it is about me.
Yes.
The world exists for me. Women exist for me. Power exists for me to take.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, people are hurting.
Yeah.
And I am in a position where I can help them. I have the ideas and the knowledge to help them. And then you know what he did? Hired an entire transition team that is all female.
I love it.
Yeah. And he's so proud of it too.
Oh.
He's like, these women are smarter than me. So they should be working with me.
A leader who can acknowledge and is not threatened by people who are smarter than them. This is something I'm learning is very important to me. But yeah, just that part is healthy masculinity.
Being able to set aside your own ego and admit and welcome people with different opinions, people with different experiences, people that are smarter than you in one way or another. Absolutely. It's an excellent leadership quality.
So good. I love it.
So healthy.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how it plays out amongst other states and people now that we have like a glimmer of, okay, my vote does matter. I need to go to Save the Vote.
Oh yeah, Vote Save America.
Vote Save America, because it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, I think millennials in particular, we're in this weird place where we want and need better. But it's like a meme, but it's so true that we have experienced unprecedented times over and over and over again. And we need a fucking break.
Yeah.
And I really, really hope that this is that spark.
I love
that, you know, starts a different time for us.
All right. So we are going to get into female friendship. Super excited to talk about this topic. Female friendship has been pivotal in my life from the time that I was very, very young. And to this day, my female friendships are, you know, what keep me honestly sane. And I think the more research that comes out, it supports how important female friendships are. And I just think it's such a layered and complex and interesting topic. So I thought to start with this topic, there is a woman, this is her book. Her name is Danielle Bayard Jackson, and her book is Fighting for Our Friendships. But she also has a podcast called Friend Forward, and it's really great podcast. And her whole perspective really seems to be about helping women, especially, but helping people have better friendships in their life. And so one of her episodes that I really liked talks about what the stereotypes, and more so the negative stereotypes of female friendship are. And so I want to kind of start off with this topic, you and me just talking about how these stereotypes, what our experience with them are. These stereotypes include, one, that female friendships are always about jealousy. What's your experience with that?
The stereotype resonates with me in that it's something that I've heard, something that I think I have not yet intentionally, but definitely through my experience, unlearned through maturity. Because I remember, Mean Girls was like the movie about female friendship when we were younger. And I remember hearing in movies, on TV, from the older women in my life that, oh, this person just must be jealous of you. Oh, well, don't act jealous of her. And I think it really did wire this idea that not only am I kind of assuming that the friendships that I'm gaining are superficial, but I'm also acting as if they think the same thing. So I was projecting like, oh, if you're jealous of me, then you must think that I'm jealous of you, and therefore this is never going to go anywhere.
These stereotypes are not just, they're stereotypes because our culture has told us this is what female friendship is. I will say that my experience has not been that, except for within a friendship that there's jealousy that I had a hard time dealing with, especially younger, about my friends having other friends. And so, so I had great girlfriends, right? Friendships, but usually with girls. But like, I would feel threatened when they developed good relationships with other people. And so I do feel that dynamic, but I think, again, as you mature, I think something we're not taught enough and is a great lesson, not just for friendship, but for any relationship, is that your dynamic is unique, and someone having a relationship with another person does not take away from the relationship that you have.
Yes.
I do think that having the understanding as an adult that I love having a lot of close relationships, but I have the awareness that my friendships also still need to be nurtured.
Yeah.
And so, I think there's that. But I want to get into, because I feel like it naturally goes into the second stereotype, because I think that they're similar but slightly different. Because when I think of jealousy within the friendship.
Okay.
But the other stereotype is that women can't be good friends because they're competitive. Where's this idea of competition coming from with women?
I think first and foremost, it comes from the idea that we compete for husbands.
Yes, it's the patriarchy.
The patriarchy. We have to make sure
again.
that every man has a woman to make him a sandwich.
It's not just that we're competing for men. It is that we are living in a system that does not give space for women. So we are competing for men, we are competing for limited jobs, we are competing for limited money, we are competing for limited acknowledgement, recognition. Like, there is not space for women, and the tiniest bit of space that you can break into is valuable, but in that it creates competition. And this one is the one that just blows my mind, because I have not felt competitive with women. That is not something I've not felt competitive with any of my friends. The only time that I have felt competitive with another woman was when they were filling a similar niche that I filled.
Oh.
And it made me feel like if they take it, there's not room for me, because we don't all get to do things.
Interesting.
And that's something that's been really good for me to check myself on. And so this is just another way where I'm like, oh, this is the system.
Yeah.
The system that is in place is creating the sense of urgency and competition between us. But the only way that I have ever succeeded and come out on top is when I did not compete with the women and I joined forces with them.
Yes.
And so this is like, to me, perfect example of patriarchy versus matriarchy versus, like, you better keep them separate, keep them small, and keep them away from each other, because when girls get together, shit happens.
Absolutely.
So
a time that I experienced, I think the most aggressive form, like inner feelings of competition with another woman, was when I was a senior in high school and I was the only girl on our all boys water polo team.
Oh.
And that was that was exclusive. Like, Jordan was selected. I had like a reputation for like getting to play with the boys, which I'm sure we're kind of going to get into too. So I was protective of my position as like the best girl because I got to play with the boys. And then another girl got to play on the team and she made the team better. But to me, I was like, I was usurped. I had a place, and now there's another girl that gets to come on the bus with us to these, unique water polo competitions that other people, the other team, the girls team, isn't going to. And it was hard to navigate as a 16, 17-year-old. Fewer years later than it feels like, I was in a position where I got to work with 3 other women. Hint, hint. And
dream team, shout out.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember the feeling of, oh no, this could go really bad.
Oh.
And feeling like I needed to get to know you guys so that I could feel out what kind of relationship we were going to have. And I think all 4 of us made the choice to have the kind of relationship where if one of us succeeded, we all succeeded. And it
So
changed everything. It changed my whole perspective on working with women, being friends with women, and how I wanted to show up as a woman for other women for honestly the rest of my life.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'm like trying not to cry right now, but because it's such a small decision. I don't personally remember feeling like I was making or a part of like groundbreaking, and I feel like it came from an authentic place from all of us. But then when you look back years later, and to know that it changed not just that single experience, but it has changed perspective in life moving forward, it's huge. I just love that. I have chills.
I mean, I was very young. It was formative. I want that for everyone, you know, and learning how to live every day like all women are a part of the dream team.
Yes.
You know, that's a journey.
Which brings me to number 3, is that female friendships are very, very dramatic, and that a common phrase that their people held onto was, "I'm not like other girls."
Oh, yeah.
And most of us have been a part of this, and you just mentioned it.
Yeah.
You being a part of you said water polo,
the boys' water polo team, yeah.
Being a part of water polo made you, well, I'm not like other girls. And so there was this sense of power by separating yourself from femininity, because femininity was dramatic, competitive, jealousy. And you were like, well, I'm not those things, therefore I'm not like other girls. So sounds like you had a I'm not like other girls phase. Anything else you want to add on that?
It makes me think of this song. I think a lot of, I'll say like the collective us experienced this because we idolized, I think, girls that were also going through the I'm not like other girls phase. I think of Demi Lovato and her song that says, "Who says I can't wear my Converse with my dress?" And so it's this idea that like you're rebelling against norms, but figuring out how to do that without hurting other women or taking down other women at the same time is like what we're really doing is fighting against the patriarchy, right? And this idea, this perception of womanhood and girlhood. But what happened was, and what we were taught to do was fight against each other.
Yes.
And that's like baffling to me. But we were like 15.
I know.
So how are you supposed to like...
Yes. And when you look back at the culture of that time, because sometimes I think about that too, and then that is the moment, those are the moments when I look back and I'm like, oh, we have come a far way.
Right.
Like we really have, because now the trend that I'm obsessed with online is I'm exactly like other women.
Yes.
Like we have had a full circle where I think women are realizing exactly what you're saying. When we were young, there was the sense of I need to separate myself from other women because women are catty, dramatic, competitive, jealous. I'm one of the boys. I'm cool like the boys. And then we tried to do that, and then it was like, hold up.
Yeah.
You grow up and you're like, that's not it at all. I am a girl, and it turns out all the other girls are like me.
Yeah.
And I've been told they're not. And when we actually get together and we're actually more powerful, like, I am like other girls. I'm not what you told me a girl is.
There it is.
It's so good.
That's fantastic.
I love it. That's why I was so excited to talk about this, because I'm like, absolutely. I have been like, I'm not like other girls. You thought of Demi Lovato. I always think of Jasmine.
Oh,
Jasmine
yeah.
was my Disney princess who I was like, when Aladdin, this guy could probably talk about this in therapy and how it creates a lot of problems, but when he presents the ladder to her so she can walk across, but she does what he does, and she's like throws the stick back at him. I was like 6 years old. I was like, that's me. That's me. And I still have that sense, but I think what it is now, instead of feeling like I'm cool like the boys, I feel like, no, I'm cool like a girl. The next stereotype is pretty heavy, and it is that friendships are and should be second to romantic male partnership.
Of course, men would want that.
Do you mind if I just start with this one? Because I feel like this was something I really heavily had to like search through within myself in the last couple of years. First of all, absolutely. Our society as a whole, for men and women, prioritizes romantic relationships.
Yes.
It's, you know, the love stories, the movies, the books we read, like everything that we intake is about like falling in love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is factors that influence women to seek that more,
Yeah.
right? However, the lessons that I have learned in my adulthood and what I remind myself as a single person is that some of the most romantic, deeply loving relationships of my life have absolutely been my friends. I have old friends. I have friends who I met on the playground. I have friends who I met at the bottom of the rocks, you know, rock bottom, bottom of the rocks. Both places. I've met them in both places. And I can not talk to them for months, but like, I love reminding myself when I feel unlovable, if I'm going through a breakup or because I'm alone or, you know, whatever it is, and or I'm dissatisfied with myself, I'm like, no, I'm lovable because my friends love me. Like they regularly show up for me. And I'm like brought to tears when I think about how like the romance of my friends have been. And there's also a quote I've been seeing around that's like, your friends teach you how you deserve to be treated, and they set a standard for you so that you're not going to like accept less than that in a romantic relationship.
Wow.
We do place so much value as a culture on romantic love, and I love love. I do love love, and I love romantic love, and I want partnership someday. But I do encourage myself at this time in my life to really deeply appreciate that just because I don't have romantic love or a romantic partner, my life is filled with love and filled with like what is romantic, like real deep love. So that's kind of my perspective on that.
I'm going to take us to patriarchal systems again, and how like within a couple of generations, women needed men to get credit cards and houses, and those things were intentionally set up so that we prioritized those relationships because we needed them to survive and succeed and, you know, start a traditional family. And I think that it very much went from like an economic argument into this social norm now that we're all navigating. I'm very lucky to have a partner that has taught me about the value of friendship. I grew up not understanding the importance of friendships. I didn't see the value in friendships for a really long time. And when my partner and I got into a relationship, he had so many meaningful, deep friendships that I started to wonder what it would be like to have friends like that. And watching him cultivate and nurture those friendships, start new friendships, really helped me learn how to do that and the benefit of doing that. And I think now as an adult, I feel really lucky to have experienced that with him and seen that through him so that I could put more value behind the relationships that were like outside of our relationship too.
And I love that he's helped teach you, because that is a not typical or traditional. Normally it is the woman teaching a man how to have emotions and how to have relationship. And I think that's so wonderful for you. Going off of that with the forced benefit that women had. However, studies have shown that once you are married, men are healthier, men are more successful, and women are not. You know, like they're not as successful, they're not as happy. Whereas for men, it's, what am I trying to say? Marriage is more beneficial for a man than it is for a woman. But they have shown that women who maintain positive female friendships have the benefits that men have from being married. I read that there have also been linked health benefits for females having other female friendships that include the survival of offspring.
Oh my gosh.
So it like actually is like generational, that when women are more connected to other women, it's not just helping them personally, individually, it like helps like throughout the lines.
That's so cool.
It's important. It's
Wow.
really important.
I think some of my generational trauma that I worked through is female friendships, and is the maintenance of friendships and the growing of my village and the like caring for that village. And so hearing that is very validating for me, that like, no, this is a good thing. This is going to benefit not just me, but my children. And I see that benefit directly already.
Yeah.
But like multi-generational healing. Yeah.
I love
Let's do more of it.
I know. I love it. My mom had extremely strong friendships. My aunt is my mom's best friend since she was 6. Like, there's not blood there. Friendships were absolutely foundational in her life. And I didn't think of it this way when I was young, but my grandmother also had very strong friendships. Her friend still reaches out. My grandma passed over 10 years ago, and her friend still reaches out to me.
Oh my gosh.
So, you know, yeah, so that's something that it's a good reminder of in my life, that like female friendships and female bonds has been passed down to me for probably multiple generations.
That's
so
awesome.
the last stereotype that they talk about is that women, especially with other women and in friendships, are passive aggressive.
Oh.
And this, I think, also has a very interesting perspective when you put it through the patriarchal lens.
Yep.
But before we get to that lens, agree, disagree, experience, no experience, are women passive aggressive in their friendships?
I have not experienced it in friendships. I'll say that much.
Okay. Does that mean there's not more to say?
It means I haven't decided how much I want to say.
Okay. I feel like yes and.
Right.
I feel like I have been passive aggressive. I think that it is been work of mine that I think I'm mostly past. I don't consider myself a passive aggressive person because I would prefer to just be aggressive at this point in my life, and I pride myself on that. I want to be direct, and I don't want to like guess. But I will say that I do think that there were times in my life where yes, to me, passive aggression feels immature. It feels like you don't know how to name your needs, and you don't know how to have conflict. And conflict is a part of life, and it is very important we learn how to have it. So yes, I would say that I have experienced passive aggressiveness within friend groups, and probably from myself as well. But when you consider it through the lens that the social norm for a female is not to be direct, is not to be angry, is not to name needs, is not to start conflict, it makes sense that we don't have a healthy way of being taught to not be passive aggressive.
Yeah.
So I was not intentionally fighting the patriarchy when I was like, I'm gonna be a more aggressive bitch, but I was. It's just a part of me that kind of got like, I can't do it anymore. Like I don't like conflict, but I am so in my head that if you're gonna be passive aggressive about it, I'm gonna like, the wheels are turning and I'm confused, and it hurts when someone is direct, but there's clarity, and the clarity feels so good because it's like, I'm trying to be a good person, just tell me what I need to do. And the friendships that I have cultivated and been able to practice being direct with are monumental for me, and just, again, such important spaces for me to have learned a very important skill and to not have to fall into this stereotype because we're living in a society that tells me I shouldn't be able to do those things.
Yeah. I mean, the alternative is being labeled a bitch, like you said, you know? And so we learn, okay, well, I don't want to be that. So what are my other options?
Yeah.
And the passive aggression, you know, we see it, we learn it, and then it comes, unfortunately, naturally, because we're trying to avoid the other negative stereotypes that women are that are forced upon women.
Yeah. I think it explains why like women reach their 30s and start to really lean into the feminine rage, because it didn't make me angry when I was younger.
No.
I was trying very hard to fit what I was told I should be, but it is a difficult thing to carry. And then when you wake up one day and realize I don't have to carry this and it's not who I am, then you're angry about it.
Right.
And I think then the next stage becomes kind of cultivating that and integrating it into, I'm not a rageful bitch. I am a person who deserves just as much space and grace as the man or any person next to me. All right, so I want to go into briefly kind of talking about the history of female friendship. And this is a limited history. The book that I referenced it's called The Social Sex, A History of Female Friendship, and it is by Marilyn Yalom and Teresa Donovan Brown. It was written in 2015. And so basically, I just want to acknowledge that it was from a very westernized look at history. So that's limited in the first place. A lot of history was written by white men.
Yes.
So we can only know so much.
Yeah.
But in general, the themes that we see play out over this specific history is that female friendships were undervalued or not even acknowledged. And I can't remember now, but there was even a part where I was reading, I want to say it was like Roman times, where men had friendships and said that women weren't capable of them. Which is, I mean, that to me is like, what? Are you sure? Are you sure? Because how, like, it feels unreal to me that, and counterintuitive to everything that feels very natural to me, that women couldn't be friends. But I do kind of like that there was a period of time where men valued friends.
Right.
So what happened that men stopped valuing their own friends? Maybe men don't even know what they're talking about. Maybe. And that they weren't being written about. They weren't being brought to the front because it was absolutely, the man was like everything. But when friendships did happen, they started in households or in religious spaces. Like there's really interesting history on friendship in like with nuns, which would make sense. I definitely would love to do a deep dive on that. And then, so they start in households and religious spaces, and then they were moving into secular spaces. And then they started to be a reflection or a shift from the friendship that I'm here to support the housework. Like we're doing the housework, we're raising children, we can relate to that and support each other. When they shifted out of those spaces, then it became that women were able to engage in debate. They were able to engage in philosophical conversations. And so here I think, again, it's not that women weren't capable, it's that we were put into a system where we didn't have access or time or energy to have those things, right? And so, I mean, I think that's a huge reflection on the fight that's going on now.
Absolutely.
Even, I mean, we don't have to dive too deep into it, but even the idea that the like super skinny heroin chic is coming back is a way to put all your resources into looking and being a certain way so that you do not have the time, energy, or effort to put into anything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I haven't thought about it like that.
Well, we're going to have an episode on some body image, and I would love to dive deeper into that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, and it is, why do you think women's friendships have been undervalued or possibly feared?
I think we've touched on it a lot, and it is that women get shit done.
Yeah.
And imagine right now, I think through social media, through our friendships, through everything, like a lot of women are having this experience of like this reclamation of power, the reclamation of the spaces that we've been left out of, creating new spaces for each other, for our experiences. Like, imagine if that shit was happening in Greco-Roman times, in medieval times, in times where it was really like these systems were being pieced together at the beginning. Imagine if women were invited to write the fucking Declaration of Independence. Like, it would have been so much better. Men didn't want women in those spaces because they were threatened by their intelligence, their ability to work together, their collaboration. I didn't even have to be there to know this.
Yeah.
And so I forgot the actual question that you asked, but
Why do you think they're undervalued or feared?
because men fear us, and rightly so.
Yeah.
And I think, like, they've been scared of us all along, so they taught us to fear each other.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things I've learned in the last couple of years, like my juiciest little tidbit, is what the word gossip comes from. So don't think too hard about it. When you hear the word gossip, what's the connotation, the feeling behind it? Like,
Just like talking shit about people behind their backs, and
Yeah.
it makes me want to like do the Valley Girl voice and like
yeah, it's negative.
Yes.
Absolutely. We're taught not to gossip. Like, I try not to gossip. I don't like to gossip. I don't want to be a part of that. I mean, some of us kind of want some tea, but in general, yes. Like, I pride myself on, I don't gossip. I try not to gossip. When I learned where this word came from, all I fucking want to do is gossip. So I highly recommend this incredible podcast series called Witch by my favorite journalist, I guess. Her name is India Rakusen. It's incredible, absolutely incredible, about the history of witches and the history of women. I can't even, but she talks about the word gossip, and essentially the original word gossip came from an old English word, which was godsib, okay? Which means it's like your godkin or your relative, like someone really close to you. Medieval times, this is like, what is this, 14th, 15th centuries. Gossip referred specifically to women who were close friends and often attended each other's during childbirth and offered support. So very like doula-like energy, right? So it was women who got together to do women work.
Yeah.
Women shared knowledge, they took care of each other, they offered advice, and they provided necessary care for women. That was a gossip. And then it was not about idle rumors about people. It was communal bonding, protection, safety in numbers, especially when it came to like domestic work, child care, child rearing, and then the health context that men didn't understand.
Yeah.
The knowledge and power of the natural world and the body, and being able to support each other through something as crazy as childbirth, but also just being a woman in general. So that is what a gossip was in medieval times. The negative connotation emerged alongside the devaluation of women's spaces, of women's labor, of women's knowledge. And it was when occurred around the same time that they started privatizing land.
Oh my gosh.
And when capitalism started to kick in.
All that I'm thinking about right now is how we were talking last week about community being anti-capitalist in nature and mutual aid being anti-capitalist. And I was like, oh my gosh,
I know.
This is crazy.
Isn't it?
Wow.
I know, it's angering, but there is a time, and especially for women, where sharing bad information was helpful and keeps you safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly even think about this in relationships, to honor each other. In my marriage, that was kind of like, well, we don't talk about each other. But the worst decision I ever made was to not share the difficult things going on in my marriage, because that wouldn't be honoring my husband, but I was isolating myself with information and trying to convince myself that what was going on was okay.
Yeah.
But it is through community and through our relationships, not impossible to have with men, but commonly with other women, where they help you work through these things and understand, for your safety, for your, like, happiness, like, it's okay that you don't want this.
Yeah.
And why are we ashamed and hiding, or being taught that we should hide parts of our marriage. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right.
that. And there's a line. There's privacy, yes.
Yeah.
But like the intentional division of keeping women isolated and out of spaces is absolutely the root of like how we lose power.
Yes.
And that is why Ginsburg, right, was
Yeah.
the one who said like women have to be in spaces where
Yes.
decisions are being made.
Absolutely.
And that is why. I did want to share also with the history, there's like a time period in the 17th and 18th century where it actually was popular and common to talk about romantic friendships. Like women had romantic friendships where they'd write loving letters to one another, and they were called soul friendships. The question is, and could be a whole nother episode, is like, were they gay? You know, like
Right.
maybe. Were they roommates? You know, there's a whole history of queer people who were represented as less than lovers. However, through my own personal experiences, I do think that, like I said earlier, romance exists between friendships. And I love the idea that during this time period that they might have been engaging in really valuing their friendships. I think that's beautiful. And so in what ways have your friendships been romantic? And in what ways, like, do you feel like you keep the like romance in a friendship, you know?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. One thing that I love, I do this with you and I do this with one of our mutual friends. When we get together, we call it a date. And it changes the connotation so much because you're like, this is a time that I've set aside. I'm going to, for me, it's like I'm going to dress up and I'm going to look nice and feel nice. We're going to go and do something that we enjoy together. And this time that we've set aside is just for us. And I love that we go on friend dates. I mean, we don't even call them friend dates. They're just dates. And that makes me so, so happy. And I think doing that has changed how I approach the time together. And I want to continue to do that. I want to go on more dates. I want to go on like first dates with friends where you're like feeling it out. Maybe it's a little more casual. And then I want to like take you to dinner and do the things that you would with somebody that you've been in a relationship with for 8 years.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I love it. I love going on dates as well. And I have been in a place in my life where I am meeting a lot of new people, and I've had some first dates with like friend dates.
Yeah.
And it's kind of almost as like,
you get nervous.
Yeah, like what are we going to talk about? Like,
Yeah.
But I love it. I think that it's great. I love going on dates with my friends, and I also love like gifting to my friends. I don't have a lot of money and I don't do it as nearly as much as I want to, but I love when you meet someone and you think about them all the time and you're like, this reminds me of you, this reminds you of you. So that's like one of the little things where I love to like give these glimpses of this is how I see you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's romantic, and I do that in my romantic relationships as well.
Yeah.
So. All right, important question, and then we'll wrap this up. How can women model healthy friendship for the next generation? So after everything we've talked about with the history and how things have changed and what things looked like when we were young and what we've learned through maturing and what culture looks like today, how can women model healthy friendship for the next generation?
Oh, this is what I think about. I think about this a lot. I think about modeling all kinds of behavior for my kids, and I think that that's led to a lot of self-evaluation and growth, and in particular around friendships. I want them to see friendships. I want them to be surrounded by trusted adults who love them and love me. And those individuals don't replace their blood relatives. They're an addition. They're something that makes life more special. And I think we're doing a good job of that. And I don't want to hide the reality of friendships, and that sometimes you do go a long time without seeing each other. Sometimes you do fight. Sometimes you go on a date and it's a dud, but you don't have to hide those things. That's all part of being a human and nurturing a friendship or starting a new friendship. So I think being honest, being open, and surrounding yourself with good people. Yeah.
I am going to go off of that. And I think my answer is that by doing something like this, we're kind of entering the scene a little bit, but I think it needs to be represented in the media.
Nice.
And I'm glad that it is. And I do think we've seen that shift. And there's, I think about Galentine's Day. That came from Parks and Rec, but it is a cultural phenomenon because I celebrate Galentine's Day and it's like, what was I even doing before this? Like, of course, I'm going to take a moment to text my friends. And of course, if time allows, like, I'd love to get together with them and celebrate. I think it's so beautiful. It's such a great, great holiday. And it came from something as silly as a comedy series that took a moment to be like, this is silly, but it's like, no, it's deep, it's heavy. And we see that in things like, as media and art, it's art, that's what it is. When art allows us to see another perspective, it gets integrated more into your life. And that is why at a young age, when we were taught girls are mean, girls are jealous, girls are this, it does do something to your own perception of yourself and your life. But when they get to grow up seeing something like Parks and Rec or, Sex in the City was monumental and shifted. Girls, similar. Shrill, have you watched Shrill? Highly recommend Shrill. It came out a couple years ago. It's Adie Bryant. Gorgeous, gorgeous story. And friendship is like at the core of that. I just watched Someone Great again the other night, and that is a great movie about friendship. So I think like really showing the value of friendships through our art and not just focusing on this romantic relationship, getting married. We want to tell all the stories, but we have all these different angles, and I love seeing it represented so that people can have that perspective growing up. So
that's amazing.
That's what I got. Any final thoughts?
I love you.
I love you. This is so good, and I love talking about this kind of stuff, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the episode. Who's a woman that's inspired you?
Oh my gosh. Lately, this is so hard. Running for governor in Texas is State Representative Gina Hinojosa, and she has just taken on the frickin' man. And I'm really, really inspired by her campaign. It's grassroots. It's very authentic. She's a parent, and she's showing up with her values and taking on mega Republicans in a very conservative state. So it just makes me really proud to be a supporter of her and to have her to look up to in my own journey.
I love it. I'm gonna just stick with, and I mentioned this already, but with my mom. I think this episode has really kind of highlighted the really great things that she's passed on to me. She is a girl's girl. She's a girl's girl. She's always been a girl's girl. She's always been a little bit of a rebel. And I think that so much of my ability to have great friendships and maintain great friendships was the seed that she planted. And so thanks, Mom.
And thank you all for watching and listening. And if you want to stay in touch, you can find us on social media at 2 Leo Moons. You can send us an email at 2 spelled out Leo Moons 2025 @gmail.com, and find us everywhere you get your podcasts.
All right. And catch us next time.
Bye.
Bye.